I think it's a range of speakers. I think it's all about seeing how digital is coming in and evolving, and what that means in terms of it being involved in sort of government departments, in the wider public sector, and indeed how people's jobs are changing to incorporate digital. We had Joss Crees, who for years has been Chief Information Officer at Hampshire County Council, now becoming the digital lead. And I think as IT evolved into encompassing digital and the various different sort of definitions of what digital is, you're seeing people's jobs changing as people try and embrace digital with a view of improving efficiency and largely reducing costs. I think understanding the sort of the big picture as to way the public sector has been changing and is changing, the way digital has been coming in, the role of the government digital service, the introduction of more and more SMEs bringing sort of cheaper solutions and greater innovation, and also having to sort of merge that with the existing providers as well. So it's a bit of a sort of changing landscape, and I think it's all about, and that's why events like this are so useful, are helping people understand how the landscape is evolving, and particularly if they're from councils or from central government or police and emergency services or NHS, what it all means to them. Well, I think everyone is having to deal with a backdrop of efficiency and trying to make savings, whichever part of the public sector you're in, whether you're the NHS, and we've heard about the issues as far as budgets in the NHS is concerned, the reduced spend that local government has to sort of deal with and how they have to transform themselves, the central government and reducing the deficit as far as central government is concerned. Everyone is having to deal with this sort of backdrop, and it's all about understanding what that is going to mean to them. Well, we've seen a number of different things all happening. We have the evolution of the 25 digital exemplars that various different government departments are introducing with government digital service help. We have the implementation of a number of different frameworks. So we've just had an ICT services for education. We've got the latest iteration of G-Cloud. We've got network services, which facilitates PSN. At the same time, we have a number of large contracts that are starting to run out, or indeed are running out. Perhaps the biggest of those is the Aspire contract at HMRC, which runs out in 2017. And departments are having to change, and this is the overriding thing that change is not easy. You've heard change mentioned a number of times today, and it's trying to make that as smooth as possible in a difficult backdrop. Well, I think if we introduce greater innovation, we find different ways of doing things, and different ways of doing things means we can reduce costs. The mantra that's been coming out from government for the last sort of 4 years, and indeed as we look to general election coming up and what that might mean in terms of any political sort of differences. I don't think the approach to GDS and digital will change, but there may be different sort of political priorities that sort of come in. So we're going to have to see how this all sort of develops, and money is never going to be far away from the issue. Well, I think financial is the big issue. But we have had a situation where we've typically had large vendors delivering large solutions on large contracts. And now by moving to sort of shorter contracts and smaller, faster moving companies, SMEs providing the innovation, that may enable us to sort of introduce greater flexibility, which I think will benefit everyone. But I don't think the SMEs should be seen as the only solution. There are systems integrators that have been around a long time, got a lot of expertise, who should be working hand in hand with those organisations. There are some people, CIOs in government, who say if you're going to have a lot of SMEs, you need a lot of SIs, or at least some SIs, to be able to manage that, because the departments don't have the skills to manage those SMEs on their own. And this is something that's going to probably come as far as HMRC is concerned, because it's had a long-running outsourced contract. Now it's going to have all the contract management expertise and everything in-house. And how you transform yourselves and change is going to be very interesting. Well, typically a lot of things have been outsourced, and so you just may not have those skills on board. So it's actually quite difficult to be able to change and insource, if you like, to get those skills on board, and that's probably the difficulty that organisations have to do. They may need to get from A to B, B being an insourced world and greater skills within the organisation. But actually achieving that is going to take some time to do. You can't move from A to B quickly. And in the next 3 or 4 years we'll get an idea as to how successful that's been. I think it probably comes from a range of different places. This is sort of uncharted territory, really. We've outsourced a lot of things, and now we're all trying to or departments are all trying to bring those back. It's going to take a range of means of doing it. It's going to involve getting skills, digital skills on board, digital academies. It's going to go back to some students and people sort of growing their sort of skills. It will involve change within organisations. I don't think there's one sort of key way of being able to do this. It's going to be a number of different solutions. It's massive. I mean, I did an interview with Liam Maxwell the other day, and he's now going to have another sort of 4-year contract. And now it's literally all about delivery. It's about making it happen within departments. I think it's about going a stage further than we have at the moment. It's going to be about standard. It's going to be about change. It's going to be about digital leaders. It really is now about delivery. We've had 4 years now of introducing digital and people getting used to it. And as some speeches have recently said, that maybe digital needs a wider remit within the public sector, but potentially, obviously, within central government as well. It's all tied in with the transformation of the civil service. It's a big delivery job, and the success will depend on how that's introduced over the next 4 or 5 years.